Rover. Overall, he's a good character for both main DPS and sub DPS in teams, but he will perform better as a sub DPS. His ult will freeze the enemies and can potentially disturb them. And with his 4th sequence node, he heals everyone in your team by a small amount. His actual skill will slow enemies around you when you switch into another character, giving them time to do their thing. He can be a good sub DPS to any teams if you don't have a better choice. Yangyang. Her skill will suck enemies towards her and her ult makes a big tornado, sucking every enemy into it. She has 3 bars above her health, which if it's full, she can do a charged plunge attack that doesn't consume stamina. She can fill those bars by either doing normal or heavy attacks, using her skill, or activating her intro skill. If you get her final sequence node, she will buff everyone's attack by 20% after a charged plunge attack. But outside of her tornado and plunge attacks, there's really nothing else she can do. Chixia. She's a great character to build for both main and sub DPS. Her whole kit revolves around shooting and shooting and shooting while moving. She has 2 initial charge for her skill. If you hold down your skill, she will slide and shoot at the same time. And if you press it instead, she will consume her bar to deal insane amount of damage. Now how to fill her bar? By shooting even more. Baizhi. Normally in other gacha games, the starter healer character isn't that good, but not this time. She heals the entire team with her skill, with her ult, and even with her heavy attacks. But wait, there is more. Not only her healing is insane, but she can buff your characters too. When using her skill, she will summon her companion and generates a field. This field will increase your current character's attack by 15%. And if you activate her outro skill, she will heal everyone and increases their damage by 15%. Mortefi. He is one of the best buffer we have so far in the game. His ult is the most important part about his kit. When you activate his ult, any character that does either a normal or heavy attack, Mortefi will do a follow-up fusion attack. If you do a heavy attack, he will do even more damage with his follow-up attack. And also, when you activate his outro skill, he will give the character 38% heavy attack damage bonus. So he's perfect for heavy attack users, like for example Jiyan. Encore. With Encore, whenever your bar is full, you can charge your heavy attack to deal AoE fusion damage. You can fill her bar by doing any kind of attacks. When you're charging the heavy attack, Encore cannot move, but she will take less damage during that time. When Encore is in her ultimate, she deals 12% more damage if her health is above 70%. So using a shielder character with her like taoqi is a good idea. Taoqi. Activating her skill will give you 3 rock-steady shields that will reduce the damage your character gets. Using her skill also fills up her 4th circuit, or bar. Each damage taken will consume 1 rock-steady shield. Her heavy attack is a stand that will parry any attack to her. And after the parry, she can do up to 3 follow-up attacks by consuming her bar and giving you a shield. By completing her normal attack, she will convert the rock-steady shield to her bar. So if you want to use her as a support, it's better not to use her normal attack. Verina. She's an insane healer that will buff your characters at the same time. Her ult marks the enemies around you, and if you attack them, the mark will deal spectral damage and heal you at the same time. When you use a heavy attack, Verina will consume one of her bars to get 12 consider energy and heal everyone in the team. You can fill her bar by using her normal attack or skill. And she will revive any character that dies once every 10 minutes. Yuanwu. Even though he's a sexy man, his pillar is even better. By pressing his skill button, he will leave a pillar that will do a follow-up on every attack you do to the enemy, and at the same time, it will fill up his 4th circuit. When his bar is filled, you can hold your skill to destroy your pillar and do a big AoE conductor damage that makes everyone in your team lightning infused. Lightning infused will make your character resistant to interruption, and Yuanwu will deal more resonance damage to the enemies. His ult not only activates his inner anime power and punches the enemies, but also everyone in your team will get lightning infused. Jiyan. If you didn't know, Jiyan has 2 different ults that depends if your bar is full or not. He has 2 bars that can be filled by doing normal attacks, and activating your skill will consume one of them to deal more damage. And if you use your ult, when you have a bar, Jiyan will jump up and launch a spear that deals AoE damage. During your ult, your skill will become more powerful without needing to consume a bar. And one more thing, his dragon during his ult is considered heavy attack, not ult attack. Danjin. She's one of the most insane 4-star I ever seen. Her skill will use part of her HP to deal havoc damage to enemies, and for some reason, it does a lot of damage. But even though she loses HP, she can get it back by herself. When at least half of her bar is full, when you do a heavy attack, you will recover HP depending on how much of the bar was full. Your bar fills up whenever you use her skill. Her ult will do insane amount of havoc damage and will recover HP too. Aalto. If you want to have fun while messing with your enemies, this is your character. By using his skill or ult, he will generate mists that you can do two things with them. You can shoot through them to make your bullets stronger and fill up your bar, or you can run through them, which makes you invisible and will consume your bars to attack the enemies. And also, his outro skill will increase your character aero damage, so he's a great choice for a sub DPS. Lingyang. Try not to stay on him for too long if you don't have his ult. Using your skill at the end of your normal attack combo is the best way to play with him since it decreases your skill damage. If you get confused on when you should use your skill, just look here, and whenever it glows is the right time that you can use your skill. Sanhua. Her skill and ult deals good amount of damage, but her heavy attack is also good too. When you hold your attack, a cursor will go through your bar, and if you release it when it's in the blue part, she will deal insane amount of damage. You can fill her bar by doing any kind of attacks. And also, her outro skill will increase your character glacier damage by 30%. Not only she's a good sub DPS, use her with a main glacier character like lingyang and you're good to go. Jianxin. Even though her kit explanation is a goddamn essay, her playstyle is really simple. First, fill up her bar. You can fill her bar by using her skill or normal attacks. After you fill her bar, use your heavy attack to beat the shit out of your enemies with the power of chi. With this, you'll give shields to everyone in your team, and you become resistant to interruption, so you won't have to worry about your attack getting cancelled. And lastly, her outro skill will increase the ult damage of the character you're switching into. Calcharo. For a guy who looks this hot, his kit is pretty simple. You can use his skill 3 times to deal conducted damage to enemies, but you have to use them all before it goes into a cooldown. Doing this when he is not in his ult will fill his bar, and when it's full by doing a heavy attack, he gets extra ult charges. By using his ult, all of his attacks will become enhanced, but they are still considered normal attack. And by using his ult, his next intro skill will activate necessary means, which it has a sick animation by the way and deals insane damage to enemies. Yinlin, oh my god! Your priority with yinlin is to mark the enemies as soon as you can. By using a heavy attack when your bar is full, you will mark the enemies around you. This mark will damage the enemies when you hit them with any character's attack. And your skill will damage the enemies and increase your normal attack damage. You can fill your bar by using your normal or skill attack.